Hello, my name is Keshwani. It's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the GMAT. We have been solving GMAT math problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 13th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 281, and today is our lesson number 96. Lesson number 96 and problem number 76. In problem number 76, they tell us that the commission we are told that the commission equals a fixed amount of $300 plus a 5% of sales over 1,000. So a salesperson is paid compensation in this format. He or she is paid $300 fixed per unit of time, whatever it is, per week, per month, whatever it is, plus a 5% of all of his sales over 1,000. He does not get any commission on the first 1,000, but anything over 1,000 he gets 5%. The question simply is, what was he paid? What was he paid? Very simple question. In the first statement they tell us that he was paid 10% of his sales. He was paid 10% of his sales. The question is there enough information for us to figure out what was he paid last week? Well, let's find out. He was paid 10% of his sales. We're going to use letter S for sales. 10% of sale is 0.1 S, and we are told, and therefore this amount has to equal to the $300 of the fixed amount that he gets plus a 5% of the sales over 1,000. So if S represents the amount of sales, S represents the amount of sales, then S minus 1,000 is the amount of sales that he has over 1,000. And as we can clearly see, this is the entire equation only has one unknown. The unknown is S. We can very easily solve this equation for S. Once we know what his sales were, we can answer the question, what was he paid? He was paid 5% of the sales over 1,000 plus a 3% plus a 300. So the first statement is enough by itself for us to figure out his commission. A, D, B, C, E. Since the first statement by itself does work, the answer cannot be B, C, or E. It will have to be either A or D. The part that we are about to do is not necessary for the exam. We can actually figure out what the sales are, and therefore what his commission is, okay? Just for learning purposes. So let's solve it. So it's 300 plus 0.05 S minus 0.05 times 1,000, 0.05 times 1,000. Since there are 3 zeros here, we move the decimal places by 3 spots. We move it by 3 spots, 1, 2, and 3. It becomes 50. In other words, 0.05 times 1,000 is 50 is what I'm trying to explain to you. Let's subtract 0.05 S from both sides, and when we do that, we'll end up here 0.05 S. Because 0.1 minus 0.05 is 0.05. 300 minus 50 is 250. And therefore S equals 250 over 0.05, multiply the top and bottom by 100, so that we don't have to deal with the decimal at the bottom here, and it becomes 250 times 100 over 5, and now we can get rid of our 5 by 20. 250 times 10 is 2,500, therefore 250 times 20 would be 5,000. So his sales were $5,000. The question is, what was he paid? Well, that's very simple. What was he paid? He must have been paid $300. He must have been paid exactly what he says here. What was he paid? He was paid a fixed $300 plus 5% of 5,000. 10% of 5,000 is 500, therefore 5% must be 250. 250 plus 300, he must have been paid 550. I don't remember doing any of this thing. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I was not paying attention. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that these are data sufficiency. You see, the data sufficiency, I'm breaking into sermon now. Data sufficiency is a double-edged sword. They are typically more complicated than the regular multiple choice questions, but at the same time there are some pros. The pro here is that you don't actually have to solve the bloody thing. And because you don't have to solve the bloody thing, even if you do end up making some careless mistake, it really doesn't matter, because all you have to do is to be able to figure, all we have to do here is to be able to figure out whether or not there is enough information to answer the question. We don't actually have to answer the question. The question simply is, do we have enough information? And the answer here is yes. We could easily solve that linear equation for S, and once we know the cells, we can figure out the commission. The mistake I made was that we were told that he gets 5% of sales. No, he does not get 5% of sales, he gets 5% of sales over 1,000. So he gets 5% of not 5,000, but he gets 5% of 4,000. Because his sales, we just found out, were 5,000. If his sales were 5,000, he's not going to get any commission. He does not get 5% of the first 1,000. He only gets 5% of the remaining 4,000. So one more time, we know 10% of 4,000 is 400. Therefore, 5% is going to be 200. 200 plus 300 is 500. That's his commission. This was not necessary, you understand? This was just to show you how great my skills are at making a boo-boo. Let's do second statement, shall we? Let's do second statement. In the second statement they tell us, that his sales, oh, second step is too silly. They tell you outright his sales were 5,000. Now notice, that is exactly what we found in the first statement. We found that his sales were exactly 5,000. The two statements, the information in the two statements never conflict each other. They always have the same information. If the first statement tells you that the sales were 5,000, the second statement better not tell you something else. In the second statement, they tell you outright the sales were 5,000. Well, if sales were 5,000, the things are hunky-dory. Number 76, was it? I lost it. Where was I? Yes, I was at hunky-dory. Expression that I learned. And I figured, why not flaunt it? So the sales are 5,000, so obviously we can figure out the commission. The commission is going to be the same as before. This commission is going to be the $300 fixed amount plus the 5% of the 4,000. So second statement is also enough, because second statement is the same as the first statement. Therefore the answer is D. That's it. We're done. I'm not going to start the next problem, because the next problem, number 77, is a nasty one, and that's going to be a long video, and I don't want to do it right now because otherwise it's going to be a really long video. So we'll do 77 and the 78 together tomorrow. 78 is very babyish, it's very simple. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.